When Moses went up to the mountain of God and was before the burning bush, he was told to take off his shoes, because the place where he was is holy ground, which is to be in the presence of Christ herself. Like today, you are all in the presence of Christ, who is the burning bush, the high mountain of God. It is not a physical place. That holy land is the mind of Christ, because it is she who knows how to live a holy life and leads you to live the holiness of God in order to reach God the Father, who can only be seen if you are holy and without blemish. Now, when Joshua, who is a figure of the Christ, was told to take off his shoes because the place where he stood was holy ground, he was obedient and did it. And that is why he was able to enter the promised land. But Moses did not enter because he was not obedient and remained with the same dirty clothes. It says in Joshua 5:6 that the children of Israel walked through the desert 40 years until all the men of war that came out of Egypt were consumed because they did not obey the Lord's voice. And Jehovah swore to not let them see the land where milk and honey flow. These men of war were bullies and fools who took justice into their own hands and did not conquer because they did not obey God the Father, who had sent his Christ to them, the rock that followed them in the desert or the wilderness of their minds. She is the only one who could teach them to defeat the enemies that rose against them in their minds. That is why they could never enjoy this land, the virtuous woman and helpmate, the Christ from whose mouth flow honey and milk, which is the wisdom of God that man needs to overcome death. If it were true that God sent them to fight in a physical battle to be able to conquer their enemies, why, after centuries of fighting for Israel, would Jehovah allow the enemy nations to conquer them? The 12 tribes were defeated by the Assyrians and by the Babylonians because of their disobedience and sin against Jehovah. But those were the enemies in their mind. And if they died having God on their side fighting for them, it is because they simply did not understand the importance of obeying Jehovah in detail and allowed themselves to be defeated by the enemy. It says that God fought for the Israelites, and even then they were conquered by the enemy. It's obvious that something here does not sound right. And this cannot be taken as a physical battle. They were defeated for not fighting the good fight of faith in order to obtain the eternal life to which they had been called, doing everything possible to be good disciples of Jesus Christ and receive the reward of eternal life. God, MelquisedecLisbet, called you, and we have promised you that life, as long as your trust is in us. God never changes, and back then we tried to save men in the same way as we are doing today.